So I'm trying something new here, and I decided maybe I could put some story times over the footages that I usually post on my YouTube channel. Obviously, I don't have a lot of followers. I think there's like 6 of you. But I have a lot of funny stories, and I'd like to share them. Um, I think one of the funniest stories that I like to tell is a long time ago when I was a teenager. I straight out of high school, I didn't really know what I was doing with my life, like most people don't. And I decided that I was going to go to a temp agency to get a job because I had bills. So I go to a temp agency, and I had worked for a company that sells jewelry to teenage girls. I'm not going to name it, but it's very pink inside. Um, so the interviewer at the temp agency really liked my credentials. She liked my resume, but then she was like, maybe you don't want to wear so much jewelry next time to an interview, which shamed me a lot. I had accumulated so much junk jewelry working at that jewelry store that I like to wear like a couple of necklaces. I don't know. Anyway, so I was very excited. I had been assigned a job at a construction company as an administrative assistant, or basically just a secretary. It was the most money I'd ever made in my life at that time. I think it was like $9 an hour, which was super exciting for a day. Their current secretary was like on medical leave. So I get there, and it's literally a trailer on a construction site, and I was cool with that. And the big boss is showing me around, and he's like, and this is your workspace. Let me tell you guys, it was a desk covered in filth. There was paper everywhere, there was balled up paper, there was used tissues. I think there was like half eaten piece of pizza. Like, this broad was nasty. Um, so I'm staring in horror at the workplace, and I sit down and I realize that I can't use her computer because her computer has a login password. So I'm not sure what I'm to do. And eventually I come to find out I'm just supposed to answer the phone. However, her phone had not been updated for some time. Once I got down the transferring of calls, which I'd never done before, I realized that there were names and numbers of people who didn't work there anymore, and people had been moved to different offices, and it was just a mess. So I transferred calls to the wrong people. I missed like calls. It was a mess. And everybody thought that I was, at this point everybody was thinking I was incompetent, which is partially true. I mean, what are you gonna do? So it gets worse. I start getting like really bad anxiety, which I didn't get treatment for until I was much older. But I start getting really bad anxiety because of all of these follies that are happening. And someone finally calls. I'm so mixed up. Someone calls for the boss, and I can't transfer it to him because he's one of the numbers that are messed up. Sorry, my cat just jumped in my lap. And so I walk to his office and I say, "Oh, there's a phone call for you." And he's in a meeting, but his door was open. And he's like, "Oh, well, who is it?" And from that 10-second walk, I had forgotten who was on the phone. Um, and yeah, so that was bad. But it gets worse. Oh, it gets so much worse. So finally, he has realized that I am an incompetent idiot, and he gives me the easiest job he can think of. He's like, all right, I want you to make copies of all of our contracts. So he shows me this filing cabinet, and there are a lot of bundles of paper in there that are contracts. And he's like, just make copies of them, staple them together, put them back in the file cabinet. You got this. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I did not, in fact, have this. I started making copies. The third copy I made, I ended up cutting myself on a 3-ring hole punch. I don't know how I did it. My finger just got squeezed into the hole punch, and it wasn't just like a little cut. I took a chunk out of my index finger, and I was bleeding everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. I got blood all over, I would say, half of the stack of original contracts that I was copying. So I just stuck them back in to the filing cabinet, and then I never talked about it again, and I never told anybody. And of course, I'm sure you're all surprised, they never called me back. So that is the story of my worst day as a secretary, and I have not gone back to being a secretary since. So anyway, I have a lot more stories. I know I'm not super great at telling them, but I have some great convention stories. If people are interested in hearing them, I would love to make more of these videos. I'm still learning how to make YouTube videos. Obviously, it's not my forte. This video is not going to be 10 minutes long, which I think is like the normal like monetization YouTube video length. But thank you for listening to my silly story. And if you want to, in the comments, share some bad work stories, I would appreciate it. And if you ever want to play Overwatch with me, just give me a shout out. I'd love to play with you. I'm not great, as you can see, but I'd love to. Anyway, oh, this video is still going. Thank you so much, and have a good day.